Everything was ready, they informed her. Her glom was halfway done, the cameras were live, and the lights were set. With one eye closed and her phone vibrating on the counter, Rasheeda remained motionless in the cosmetics chair. Next to her, as if it had something to say, vibrating against the palette trays, she didn't look it over. She was too accustomed to loud noises, to headlines, and to acting as though nothing bothered her. Not with the production team looking on. Then a whisper, barely loud enough to be a warning, broke through the cacophony. With wide eyes, a producer leaned in and spoke low, "Keep recording." Everything changed at that point. The foundation of Rasheeda's marriage was already crumbling, even though she was unaware of it at the time. The traders were not new. It was recycled, old, and passed off as growth. However, it wasn't a jumbled direct message or a rumor this time. Buried beneath contracts and paperwork, the document was notarized and signed. Concealed in plain view? Even worse, it wasn't a brand new scandal. With the same woman who had once come dangerously close to ruining her world, it was a resuscitation of the previous one. Jasmine. She felt as though she had outlived the curse that came with the name. A specter of a past she believed she had forgotten. However, forgiveness doesn't make ghosts go away. They bide their time. Keep quiet. Be patient. And this one returned ink-printed. Whispers claims that the contract was unintentionally found. While looking through location release documents, a junior producer discovered a folded page that was affixed to a shoot permission. Until they saw the signatures, nothing out of the ordinary. Kirk Frost, 2 of them. Jasmine Washington, the other one. It also had nothing to do with child support. It has nothing to do with co-parenting. It has to do with quiet. A legal and financial agreement with provisions that screamed cover-up was established behind Rasheeda's back. No storyline reference to be made in Season 13 involving either party, one section stated. Translation. Kirk acted as though nothing was wrong while Jasmine was bribed to keep silent. The illusion vanished in an instant. A producer didn't tell Rasheeda, not even from Kirk. She discovered that reality TV is where most truths come to light. The first to arrive was the internet. Initially, there were ambiguous tweets, a mysterious Instagram story, and then a removed video from the VH1 page that shows Rasheeda's face in a panic and documents on a coffee table that are blurry. Context was unnecessary for fans. They assembled the puzzle more quickly than the production team could clean up the video. The headline then read, "Rasheeda files for divorce after Kirk and Jasmine's secret agreement surfaces." No brand statement or news release, simply a filing from Fulton County that said, "Marriage irretrievably broken." It ended with paperwork after more than 20 years of devotion, kids, shame, recovery, and public forgiveness. Cold and clean, but not at all silent. When Kirk neglected to post when the news broke, he couldn't explain, so he didn't. This was no mistake. It was a plan. The months before filming started, an agreement with Jasmine was signed. Additionally, Kirk was completing an agreement while Rasheeda was getting ready for another season, reunion, and brand partnership to preserve the idea of Black love. Setup that completely removed her from the story. The consequences were immediate. When Rasheeda saw the documents, she didn't cry. She didn't yell. She did not change the situation. Instead, she stopped mid-glam and gazed at her reflection in the mirror as if she had just seen a stranger. She got up and went to lock the door of her trailer. Half-finished makeup. Mike continued to clip to her top. Uncertain on whether to follow or let her, one of the crew members gently tapped. "Take a breath." She sat at the vanity inside. Just a woman gazing at her 25 years of sacrifice. No screenplay, no camera cues. She was aware that none of it had shielded her from this situation. She made no hesitation. She grabbed her phone and dialed her attorney. Send the papers in 3 words. That was it. Just resolve, no discussion, no breakdown. Tidy, finished, actual. Production outside was in a panic. The chronology was broken. There was little significance to the season arc, which was previously depicted on color-coded boards. One producer now attempted to change the situation. "Maybe we can use this as a turning point," he stated. Another person proposed postponing the reveal, but the show had lost control. Rasheeda had finished her performance and wasn't merely responding. and Jasmine reappeared with a purpose, while she vanished into silence. The woman on national television who once made Rasheeda cry, who once denied, sidestepped, and vanished when things became disorganized, and she was now chin up as she entered the mess. She uploaded a video a few days after the news broke, just her signing a document, no sound. Slowly zoomed in movement. The internet went crazy when the caption read, "This time I signed first." No names, no shade, but everyone knew. Comments poured in. Conjecture, censure, awe, and mayhem. There were screenshots after that. Text messages purportedly exchanged between Kirk and Jasmine that showed a timeline that did not depict him as a victim of situation, but a mastermind of dishonesty. "Before Sheeda finds out, let me take care of it." One message was read. "This isn't for cameras," said another. "It's true life, but the most harmful thing is to leave it out of the plot." Are we doing okay? Every blog featured a quote from that one. Rasheeda remained silent as well. Not online, not on camera. Since she wasn't waiting for the story to be told this time, her silence was more audible than the commotion. Stated, she was taking it back. Silence was not a sign of weakness. Clarity was what it meant. Rasheeda was in good health. She had a wide awake. Everyone was frightened by it, particularly the network that had depended on her suffering to boost its viewers. She had been playing her part for years. The powerful one, the peacemaker, the spouse who accepted betrayal in private and showed forgiveness in public. However, something changed this time. She was hurt, but it went beyond that. She had had enough of acting as though it didn't hurt. The network was unsure about how to handle that. Panic spread like wildfire inside the manufacturing van. Editors were being instructed to go over hours of unutilized video, hoping to construct a story that would make Kirk's behavior appear to be the result of a miscommunication. One executive said, "Perhaps we can play into his fear of losing the family." But since the audience had previously seen the uncut tape, all of it failed. Mike, still wearing his dignity, left the scene as soon as Rasheeda left in the middle of the scene. Intact, while everyone else was still trying to figure out what had occurred. Kirk, on the other hand, knew deep down that he couldn't talk his way out of this, so he didn't follow her to the trailer, didn't chase her, and didn't knock. Time. Nevertheless, he made an effort. 2 days later, a private meeting was suggested, with just him, no cameras, no producers, just a discussion. Rasheeda, however, declined, not verbally, but by not showing up, and her response to his text message requesting a meeting was straightforward. "Talk to my lawyer." That message was more powerful than any debate they had ever had since it was one of detachment rather than fury. Kirk was aware of the difference, and the cast began to change as Spice, who always remained neutral in issues that did not directly affect her, started to like every post endorsing behind the scenes. Rasheeda was outspoken. They utilized her as a plot point, and now they're upset that she's creating her own conclusion. She revealed this to a crew member during a microphone check. Yandi completely canceled a scheduled shot with Kirk. Texting production. "I'm not supporting cowardly behavior. That man got too many secrets and not enough spine," she observed, and even Carly, who was always prepared with her spoon and teacup, maintained her distance. But it was Erica Mina who lit the match that burned through every fan comment section, she said in a confessional that was never broadcast. With a wine glass in hand, she spoke straight into an unedited Instagram live stream. The camera. "Everyone stated I was hating, even though I told you in season 7 that he had been garbage. Take a look at it now." Despite Rasheeda's right to better, loyalty doesn't transform a man. It simply exhausts the woman. The hashtag #DasGFreeRasheeda.inside began trending after the viral screenshot received millions of views. Rasheeda's world wasn't celebrating support, watching memes, or repeating comments. Instead, she was working in silence, strategically and powerfully. The news statement that followed was about Bistro updating its website and listing Rasheeda as the sole operator. Her beauty brand was rebranded, relaunched, and renamed. There were no more cliched slogans. There was no fanfare, no headlines, just a quiet power shift that told it all. Every product label had the new motto, "Unbreakable." which was a claim with no reference to Kirk. In promotional photos, she stands tall without any rings or filters, a woman who made the decision to herself and sold out. The internet went crazy in less than 2 hours, and fans were about to believe that Rasheeda would finally talk until she uploaded a single picture, a mirror selfie, without any makeup or a caption. "I stayed too long" was printed on a hoodie. In a single day, that photo received 1 million likes, and comment sections descended into conflict, with some applauding her quiet. One thing was evident, though: the narrative had changed, and Rasheeda was no longer the woman keeping the marriage together. Instead, she was the one who dragged Kirk around as if he owed them all reparations. Kirk, on the other hand, was gradually coming apart and began arriving late to planned shoots. He was burning down the cage. One night, he uploaded a story with a black backdrop and white text after being caught by cameras arguing with a Frost Bistro hostess about a reservation that didn't exist. "Loyalty merely makes you stupid for longer than you should have." He removed it 5 minutes later, but the screenshot went viral and fans argued about its significance. He appeared resentful, and resentment never goes away. Some thought it was directed at Jasmine, while others said it was directed at Rasheeda. Not when you're the one who put his name on the betrayal ink. Trends well. Production, in a desperate attempt to save his reputation. Kirk consented, sat under the harsh lights, scratched his temples, and attempted to look contrite as he pitched a solo confessional interview, therapy sessions, a redemption arc, and sobbing confessions. "I know I've made mistakes," but his response to the question of why he never told Rasheeda about the contract shattered everything. "I didn't tell her because I didn't think she would respond maturely." He even made it through the first few lines. A producer's jaw fell open, the room froze, and the editor's hands ceased to move as that one sentence wiped away any pity he could have had. Deserved. Before the program even aired, it went viral, and blog titles appeared right after. Kirk believes that treachery calls for manners. The fan comments were harsh, loud, and united. Kirk labels Rasheeda immature for realizing she was duped, saying that loyalty is nothing when you are the only one who is loyal. Maturely, you weren't sheltering her. You were protecting yourself. You didn't even tell her that you made a pact with the lady who nearly destroyed your family. Yourself. Kirk believes that being silent proves him correct, but it only makes him dangerous. Rasheeda rose as Kirk spiraled, not with a clapback or a commotion, but with outcomes. She started a new campaign. Pressed reloaded the Freedom Collection, which had a single image of her standing in front of broken glass with her arms folded. There was no Kirk or marriage story. "Wear your power" was the tagline, and the pre-orders smashed her vision. She remained silent once more, but her actions spoke for her. She didn't hesitate when Tamron Hall asked her to participate in a 1-hour nationwide syndicated interview. She arrived wearing a black suit without any jewelry, and without any. When questioned, "When did you realize that love wasn't enough?" Without blinking, Rasheeda replied, "When I saw the contract, not just the signature, but the trend." In just 48 hours, that video had over 4 million views. This is because it shows a woman openly selecting herself, not just walking away, unrepentantly, and at last. And the impact of that was greater than any cheating scandal. It served as a wake-up call. Meanwhile, VH1 executives were in a panic behind the scenes because what the formula man cheats, woman forgives, reunion showdown that they had attempted to craft into a dramatic mid-season twist was turning into a societal shift. And fans weren't just watching, they were calling it out. The reunion tape felt more like a funeral than a celebration, and Rasheeda had changed the ending. The atmosphere on set was tense, icy, and unpredictable. Green rooms were divided. New security was posted at each entry. Legal representatives hovered off camera, speaking into headsets, looking at seating charts. Rasheeda hadn't confirmed until the very last minute, but even then, her only requirement was obvious: she would arrive. When she was ready, talk when she wanted to, and sit away from Kirk. The actors discussed it in whispers. Production attempted to keep things under control, but as soon as the betrayal hit the blogs, What had been staged pandemonium was now genuine, and everyone could see the raw agony on display. Kirk waited in silence with a new haircut. The room wasn't giving him a villain edit. He was earning it in real time, and for once, he wasn't grinning while wearing a black jacket. Carly Red looked horrified. Spice didn't say anything to him. Yandi crossed her arms every time, and every cast member's expression felt colder than the last. The devotion had vanished. The sympathy had vanished, and the cameras had captured it all by the time he had settled into his seat. Then the doors opened, and Rasheeda entered late, dressed in all black with her hair pulled back and no jewelry. She didn't need to look around the room. Her stillness was a storm, and everyone sensed the change. No entourage, no glitter, just presence. Nobody moved when she sat down. The cue cards felt like dead weight, and the MC, who is normally quick with a joke or dramatic introduction, fell silent. When the tape finally started, the host began soft surface-level recaps light shade, and even the stage lights appeared to be dimming. The whole room tightened as Kirk cleared his throat in response to the first genuine fan question. Why didn't he tell Rasheeda about the deal? Does he regret it? He murmured softly. I didn't want to make it worse. I thought I could manage it before she had to know. Side-eyes, eye rolls, and groans. You keep saying you didn't want to make it worse, but Rasheeda didn't flinch. Instead, she waited and then spoke sharply and steadily. Silence. The host swallowed hard. Production didn't cut. The crew didn't flinch because they knew it was the worst. You don't realize you are the worst. Line. One that would reverberate long after the episode ended. Then, in an unexpected turn of events, Jasmine Washington was brought out. Not for a brawl, not for a viral video. Brawl. She entered calmly, with a white dress, a clean face, and no smirk. The audience was unsure of how to respond, and Jasmine, for once, refrained from adding to the drama. I didn't come to stir anything. I signed that deal. The presenter asked her if she had anything to say to Rasheeda. She paused, looked down, then looked back up. Since I was the only one who truly knew who he was, I just stopped acting. She turned to face Rasheeda. I knew he would return. He always does. Even Carly's eyes softened as she said, I never hated you. I just stopped waiting for you to hate him. I just stopped waiting for you to hate him. You were never the problem, she continued, nodding slowly and tightly without blinking. I made the mistake of believing that staying would gain me respect, she said. First the cast, then the staff, and finally the crowd applauded. It was impolite. It was not practiced. It was merited. For every woman who lingered too long, there was a clap. For each victim of emotional blackmail masquerading as affection. For the silent power that required years to voice. Kirk opened his mouth to say. There was nothing else to say, so he opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Mic off, Rasheeda stood. No wave, no hug. Calm and cool, she left the stage. Jasmine remained in her chair. Kirk appeared disoriented. The Rasheeda was not followed by the camera to her dressing room. No necessity existed. History had already been etched with the moment. The segment was broadcast uncensored on VH1. No music overlaid. Don't make any major modifications. Just truth and quiet. It was dubbed the most honest moment in the franchise's history by fans. There was a flood of tweets. For days, clips were popular. I stayed too long because the hoodie sold out few hours after the next show. However, it wasn't the end. Rasheeda was followed by the cast. They exited the stage one by one after the reunion was over. They had no intention of protesting. They were noticing a change. Rasheeda didn't simply leave a union. She departed from the loyalty performance. She wasn't finished yet either. She made a shocking statement a week later. Not with VH1 Adulis. No, not with Mona. Rasheeda herself produced the independent executive. Title, I'm Not Broken Because of the Break. Teaser for the first episode. A gradual montage of her life reconstruction. Cut to scenes from previous seasons. Voiceover. They claimed that I was strong for persevering, but the day I left. The internet went crazy. Then came fashion bargains. A partnership with a large beauty store. Speaking engagements. Campaigns centered on emotional healing and resilience are invited by TEDx. Rasheeda was more than just a character. She was a model. Kirk, meanwhile, faded. His apology tour was a failure. The redemption arc was not desired by fans. It was too much. The contract, the smirk, the stillness. Blogs have evolved. Deals for brands dwindled. Additionally, the comments on his posts constantly reminded him, "You signed the exit." Jasmine, on the other hand, didn't seek attention. She never went back to the display. She failed to propose a spin-off. She dwelt in the background. Appearances on podcasts, business transactions, discreet recognition, and perhaps the first she ceased to be the antagonist over time. The audience's biggest message was not that she was forgiven, but rather that the true monster had finally been exposed. They weren't merely viewers no longer. They saw a woman make her own decisions, a story being changed, and a formula being broken. Don't cheat for ratings anymore. No, he was asked by another woman. No more suffering marketed as amusement. It was better expressed in the comments. She did not simply leave a marriage. A story thread ended with her leaving. The best scene: don't yell, don't fight, just the facts. It wasn't reality television. Of all the lines, this one went viral and was a revolution. She put her all into it. She's reclaiming herself now. That was Rasheeda's last statement. Not said, possessed, taught, and lived.